What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fight Pit. It is your boys, Drew Fio and Shaun of the Dead. We are here covering the UFC 305. We're doing a UFC 305 recap and reaction. Big card, crazy card. We had some a couple of heartbreaks. We had some solid picks that came through for us, but there's a few in there that cut me deep. We'll run through the prelims real quick. Shaun, how you doing today, dude?
Doing good. That was a hell of a fight card. Underdogs definitely slapped on that card. That's probably
For real.
We were just a little bit above 500. That was probably our toughest pay-per-view of the year, I would have to say.
That one, yeah, that one. I was like not shocked at like some of the results that came through on that one too, but there's a lot of them where I was like, man, this is. I would not have guessed some of those would go the way that they went.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, I thought Stuart Nicole was a lock. I thought Stuart Nicole was gonna. I had him winning by submission, and he actually got finished by submission. So that was a rough start right out of the gate. Right out of the blocks, I fell flat on my face on that one. But we kicked it back into gear. We had Song Kanan and Tom Nolan covering back to back. Then Jack Jenkins, Casey O'Neill, those ones. The Junior Tafa and Walter Walker fight went exactly how we thought it would go. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And then the other one, the main one I wanted to cover on the prelims, the Joshua Culibao Ricardo Ramos fight. Holy shnikes, bro. That was a hell of a fight, and
it was close.
Very close.
I don't think robbery's a good word, but I do think what's a good term? Questionable is a good term for that, because I see a lot of people saying Culibao won round 2 and 3 handedly, and I'm like, round 3 was kind of close. It was kind of close, and that's where you gotta. Where do you put some judges? You just have, like, when it comes to ground game, like even if they're doing nothing, they just count that as like the best thing in fighting. And this is one of those cases where it looked like that was the case, but I didn't know how I had that scored. Like, I could have gone 29-28 either way, in my opinion. So I was not surprised to see split decision whatsoever.
Not surprised. I was not, just because we chose Josh Culibao. Josh Culibao is so much fun. He is so much fun to watch. He was able to get out of that deep rear naked choke, very deep rear naked choke, got out of it and was just swagging through the whole rest of the fight. And I honestly thought that he was landing more. I thought that he was landing harder, the more devastating shots. I'm trying to see if I can pull up the official judges scorecards, but this one, as far as the media is concerned, checking it out on Verdict MMA. Shout out to Verdict MMA. I've been rocking with them since before anybody knew who they were. If you don't have the Verdict MMA app, download it. I'm gonna push them any chance that I get, because that is, one of the best scoring apps, one of the best just overall MMA apps that we have in our community. The media scorecards had it 29-28 for Culibao. The global scorecards had 28.8 for Culibao to 28.1 for Ramos. And I honestly had it 29-28 for Culibao too. So I'm not upset at the Ramos getting the fight. I'm only upset just because I lost the bet on that one, but I'm not mad at it. But it's, I thought that was a cool about decision.
Yeah, I think I had that fight, and I was like kind of surprised how well Ramos was doing, but then I was like, it's like, well, he's holding his own, and then he used a ground game, and I'm pretty sure I said in the thing that in our preview that he would have to get this fight to the ground, and he did what he needed to do, and judges still to this day, they think a takedown with nothing going with it is better than landing shots. And
it's so unfortunate, dude. It's so unfortunate. I don't understand how. I mean, and the who was it? Which fight? Tuivasa. The Tuivasa fight. Australia straight up just pulled the judge and was like, "That was a trash fucking call. You're out."
Oh my god. 30-27 tie, but then you look who he was. He was an Australian coach and referee, and he knows Tai Tuivasa personally. It's like, if you do more research, it's like, all right, dude, that is the most perfect example of a rigged judge you've ever seen.
Seriously, bro.
When I saw a split decision on that, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Because I remember typing in our chat that I finally picked the heavyweight fight right. And as soon as that happened, I heard two different things. I'm like, no way are we getting I'm getting this wrong. I'm like, what did I watch? How?
Which just goes to show you, everybody, when we say that heavyweight fights are redonkulous and to stay away from them, we are speaking from years of heartbreak experience. We are speaking from just the absolute gutters, the absolute trenches of calling heavyweight fights. And same with the Junior Taffa Walter Walker one. Like that, if there was an option on Caesars or William Hill, DraftKings, anything, if there was an option that said, will this fight be fucking goofy as all get out, I would hammer that on every heavyweight fight. That one was, I was not surprised at all. I was like kind of relieved that Walter Walker seemingly got the tap in the first round, because I was like, oh, okay. Like, and we talked about it in the episode. If he's able to bounce back from that decision loss and put on an impressive performance against someone as tough as Junior Taffa, I was like, I'm right back on the train. All he has to do is just have a great showing, go back to doing what he did before he got into the UFC, and count me back in. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, there we go. I'm all aboard, baby. I'm riding. I'm back on. And then Junior Taffa protests. We see the yell. We see the no tap, no quote unquote verbal tap. And that was a very prevalent topic of conversation in our Discord for a good hour or so. But what's your thoughts on the Taffa Walter Walker one?
I've seen this 2 other times, and both were heavyweight fights, of course, because it seems like these obese heavyweights. Yes, if you look at me, I'm an obese heavyweight, but I'm not a fighter. So So any comments about that? It's like, cool, I'm not a fighter. But if I was a fighter, you want to be in the best possible shape you can be. And they don't stretch enough, whatever the case is. Their tendons can't take as much. He yelled out, and a referee's job is to protect the fighter. And if I've watched a podcast of Joe Rogan's, and it was with Herb Dean, the top guy in all refereeing, and it was after a skeptical heavyweight fight that happened, and Joe asked him about it, and he's like, when you hear a yell out in pain, and this actually happened in the Tyron Woodley fight against Colby Covington, where he broke his rib in the fight, and he yelled out in pain too, and they stopped the fight. He didn't tap, he didn't verbally tap either, he just yelled, and they stopped the fight, rightfully so. you gotta protect the fighters. That is their job, is to protect the fighters and keep the fight clean. That is it. And other than that, the rest is on the judges or the fighters to do everything else. And so my opinion is he shouldn't have screamed, or he shouldn't have got himself in that situation. One of those two. So Tafa, that's on you. Good job for Walter.
It sucks, but
Walker.
100%. 100%. And that one too, when Woodley was I don't know if it was like he was on bottom trying to roll from his back to his stomach. But it was, I remember him and Colby were up against the cage, and I remember Woodley going, like, he yelled like, and he goes, my rib. And that was like, okay, it wasn't like a verbal tap, but he's saying like, oh dude, there's something fucked up. Stop. Junior Tafa just, and not, placing any shade or anything on it at all, because I would have done the same thing. I'm that guy in jiu-jitsu class. If you get anywhere close to a straight ankle lock, a heel hook, a knee bar, anything at all, I'm tapping right away. I have no qualms at all with saying, you got me. I'm not going to wait to see how this
you're saving your leg. Yeah, you're saving your leg.
And so that's, if just based on experience, if you hear someone start making noise, we see dudes, get knee reaped all the time and roll and try to, counter it, grab one of their own. It's somewhat of common knowledge, especially when it comes to leg shit. Like the lower half in jiu-jitsu is so finicky. It's so fragile. It's so like bat. As soon as you see anybody diving down for that, that's why all the commentators get like riled up. They start to get animated when somebody goes for a leg, because that's how fast it can happen. They can, 1 second you're sitting there, you got your foot on the butt, you're trying to push and pull your knee past the hips, and then the next second they turn and your leg is in 5 pieces. So
yeah,
you can't put that on the ref. That on the ref.
Do you want to add something else? I'm very disappointed in the announcers table there with Anik, Dominic Cruz, and Daniel Cormier after that. Obviously, Dominic Cruz has issues with referees back with the Henry Cejudo fight, and he just won't let it go, even when he's doing commentary, and you could see it right there. He's saying, oh, well, the ref might have made a bad stoppage. Like, it's normal for him. Like, you can't be saying that. And then DC, not really knowing a lot of the rules. For a 2-belt champion, he doesn't know a lot of the rules, which is kind of sucks. Like, that's why you have to have someone like a Michael Bisping or a Dominic Cruz or Joe Rogan there, because for some reason, the man, he's very good commentary, and he knows a lot of history, but man, when it comes to knowing some of the rules, it's no chance with him. And John Anik didn't really get a chance to talk because they were just nonstop, like, talking over each other between the two of them, and no one clarified why that was a good or bad stoppage. They're just like questioning the whole time. It's like, why don't you give a rule clarification there for the people watching so they know if that was a good or bad stoppage?
Yeah, that's one of those instances, kind of like in baseball, where like we see the ball gets stuck in the catcher's gear and runners advance and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Or, like if someone hits a home run and it like bounces off the top of the wall and then hits the outfielder's glove and goes over, is it a home run? It's one of those ones where I think the rule isn't like super common knowledge, but absolutely, to your credit, they got to have, and I might even put that on the truck, because they got to have somebody, even if they're in the moment not able to recall exact rules and stuff, they got to at least have someone in the truck going, hey, that's actually, rule 45.7-C. If they fucking yell while they're getting knee reaped, that counts as a tap. And DC, absolutely. He's DC fucking daddest man on the planet. He was a wrestler. He's a wrestling coach. He knows wrestling and beating dudes up. So I would not like fault him for not really knowing the intricacies of the submission type rules as far as that get. I mean, he was a pound you out or knock you out type of fighter. So I mean, he's like you said, he was a double champ. He's there as a experienced expert. So having him and Dominic Cruz on there and nobody being able to figure out the rule, you got to have somebody in the truck going, hey, this is the rule. Tell everybody why it's not on the ref. And absolutely, that's a great point. I wanted to throw out there too about the Culibao fight before we get on to the main card. The Culibao fight, Josh Culibao had 1 knockdown. Ricardo Ramos had 0. Total strikes, Josh Culibao landed 92 out of 150. Ricardo Ramos 39 out of 134. So Josh Culibao total strikes tripled up Ricardo Ramos on that one. Significant strikes, which if you guys aren't familiar, anybody watching, significant strikes is any strike at distance or any hard strikes that land when they're in close or on the ground. Josh Culibao landed 70 significant strikes out of 127. Ricardo Ramos landed 27 out of 118. So he tripled up the strikes on all of these. And then the head strikes, Culibao had 40 out of 91. Ricardo Ramos 16 out of 92. Body strikes, Culibao landed 9 out of 10. Ricardo Ramos 6 of 11. Leg strikes, Culibao 21 of 26. Ricardo Ramos 5 of 15. Ricardo Ramos had 1 of 1 takedowns, and he had 2.5 more minutes of control time and 1 submission attempt. That's yeah. I try not to be biased, but like you were saying, it's very difficult to watch somebody get control on the ground and do nothing with it and be given dominant points for it.
And that statement is more for round 3. Round 1, we're not arguing that. Round 1 was definitely
oh yeah,
that was definitely the 2 submissions locked in, and Culibao had to earn his way out of it. No, he lost that round. We're not saying that. We're just saying round 2 definitely went the other way, and round 3 was close, but there was a control time versus significant strikes. Big difference. And they gave it to the control time. 2 of the judges gave it to control time. So we're not saying round 1 with the submission attempts we're not talking about that. We are agreeing that round 1 was definitely not Culibao's whatsoever.
I am totally cool giving Ramos a 10-9 for round 1. 100%.
Yeah. Want to get to the main card?
Yes. Also, that we were rolling up to that Culibao fight too. We had Stuart Nicole right out of the gate, sank my battleship. Then Song Kanon, we nailed it. If you guys were keeping track of our picks from the last episode, Stuart Nicole was out, first pick of the night. Song Kanon, Tom Nolan. Who was up next? Wait for it. Got it. Boom. Song Kanon, Tom Nolan, Jack Jenkins, Casey O'Neill. 4 straight hits in a row for us. Almost 5 with the Culibao decision. The Junior Toffa Walter Walker in the first round, under 1.5. That was a hit. So we didn't do, I mean, as far as, methods, we were pretty heavy on Tom Nolan to get that KO. That was insane. Bro, those odds, I don't know how the hell Tom Nolan didn't look bad at all.
He looked very good. Yeah.
For sure.
But
For sure.
minus
Do you
1100,
think
minus 1200, you got to get a finish. You have
I
to.
was just about to ask, do you think now that the smoke is settled, do you think Tom Nolan was justified at a
No.
1200?
No. That's more like that. Even when you get anywhere about 600 or over, it's like it has to be a finish, in my opinion. Like you expect it to be a finish. 1200 or 1100, you expect to be a first round finish. You expect that to be done. Like you don't want to use the restroom. Wait about 3 more minutes and then you go use restroom kind of situation.
How
Yeah.
Gage was saying in our episode, you get into the quadruple digit favorite odds where it's minus 1,000 or anything over, even minus 900, I would say.
Yeah.
You are like, it needs to be a Peyton Talbot 16-second knockout, 13-second knockout. It needs to be like, and anything can happen in fights. Anything can happen in fights. But whoever made that line, fail, bro, fail. I didn't even bother looking at what I think fight not to go the distance was like minus 900, 700, somewhere around there. So had to be some good coin on decision, fight to go the distance, over 2.5, so on. But we were close though. Money line, we did great. Method and rounds on this one, we kind of that's what sunk our battleship on this card.
Yeah.
But enough of all that. Let's get to this main card because it was a damn good one. Opening up the main card, we had Carlos Paredes versus Li Jingliang. Holy shit, bro.
He looked so good. He looked beyond good.
Oh my God. And all of us collectively, absolutely love Li Jingliang. Did not want to see that happen to him at all. I honestly, even with the layoff, even with the 2 years off, even with, the rough card and the shifting and everything that happened in the last couple of fights for him, did not expect Carlos Paredes to make it look that easy. That was so impressive. So impressive. What's your main takeaway from that one?
Carlos Paredes is unbelievable on the feet, and anyone in welterweight should watch out for how good of a striker he is and immediately try to take him down. Like, I could name maybe 3 guys in welterweight that I think would compete with him standing on the feet. That's about it. Other than that, everyone needs to take him down. That performance was amazing.
And we covered it a little bit too. Fighting nerds, bro. The fighting nerds. They're for real. They are for real. That is a scary team. That's a scary team. And we got coming up this weekend, when this episode drops, the weekend that follows, Caio Barrio is headlining. Very, very high on that guy. Everybody in the fighting nerds, they're crazy. They came out of nowhere. They're just like, hey, we put together this team. We're going to fuck y'all up now. Is that cool?
Yeah.
It's just insane, man. First guy to ever put Li Jingliang out.
Yep. And for that reason, I think I want to see him fight a low person in the top 15 because Li Jingliang is just outside the top 15. I would say probably around 18 to 20 range. So I would Vicente Luque. That's who I'm like. He's 13 right now. He came off a kind of a brutal loss, but at the same point, it's like, hey, he has to earn this to keep his spot. I say Vicente Luque. Kevin Holland's always fighting someone. He's probably scheduled to fight someone else because he's always fighting. And Michael Venom Page, I think they're only looking for like more money fights with him. So maybe not do that one. So I think Vicente Luque or even Neil Magny. Neil Magny said he wants to fight the up-and-comers. I'm not against either one. Either one of those. See how he does with some grappling. Both of those guys will definitely try to take his ass down because it's not going to be worth standing with him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me get the Fight Pit Instagram up real quick. I could have swore there was a Kevin Holland fight announced recently. Maybe I feel like maybe it was announced and then the opponent got injured or
Well,
something like
he's
that.
always fighting someone legitimately.
Yeah, it was. Oh, is it Chris Curtis?
Yeah, Chris Curtis is supposed to be fighting.
Is that it?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Where is it? Where is it? Where did you go? Yeah, something like that. It was one of the might be Chris Curtis at middleweight ish. I could have swore I just posted a fight announcement for that recently. Maybe, maybe not. But and now that I'm looking at it, I definitely see if they don't book the Vicente Luque Nick Diaz fight, I'm fully on board with them giving Carlos Pratis that fight. He's at 13. Sweet. Totally cool. Kevin Hall at 14 and 15. Kevin Holland or Michael Venom Page, take all of my money. I will take out a fucking mortgage. You can have it.
I like those fights better, but I don't think they'll do that. Just definitely with Michael Venom Page, they won't, just because the name value, what they're trying to do with them.
Yeah.
So they're trying to look for a fun fight for him. He's 37 years old, if I'm correct. So you're not trying to just feed him to the dogs. Like, they're trying to make good fights with him. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Venom Page fights someone like that's a decent name that's in welterweight just for the fun of it, like a fun name out of it. So I just can't see that. Like, I do think Kevin Holland that fight could definitely happen, but I think Vicente Luque, it makes a lot of sense to me. Neil Magny's already claimed to, like, he wants to take on the dogs, see what they got, and he's I think his last fight he beat one of the Canadian guys, one of the up and comer kids, and the kid was a massive favorite over Neil Magny, and I think he tapped him out or ground and pounded him, if I am correct.
Yes, that was.
Yep, it was win over a Mallet.
Yes.
Yep.
And then Neil Magny, I think he's on this weekend's card too, against
Morales. Yep, another young kid.
Michael Morales. Oh my gosh. So yeah, if Neil Magny can, oh bro, and if Michael Morales ends up getting it done, Morales and Pratis,
I'm not against that too. Having two young studs going at it, I'm not against it whatsoever.
And I think that would be a super sick fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one would be a super sick stylistic matchup. I don't see either of those guys trying to eke out the win on the judges' scorecard. I think that's a good one. But I like Vicente Luque and I like Neil Magny. Otherwise, I'm totally cool with any of those. Anybody right in that 12 to 15 range? Absolutely. Showing. And next one, I don't even know if I want to cover this one. Tai Tuivasa and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Right off the bat. Right off the bat, heavyweight fight that went the distance. Two knockout artists, heavyweight fight that went the distance. Always just get away from them. Don't even bother. This one was one of your fights too, wasn't it?
Yep. And I picked Rozenstruik to win. I picked him to get a KO in like the second round, if I am correct, because I felt like he would have pieced him up, and then Ty would have pushed the pace, and Rozenstruik would have got the best of it because he was a former kickboxer. Like, people forget he's not a brawler. He is an actual true kickboxer. Even though he is an obese heavyweight, he still looks very good in there. He went the distance with Cyril Gane on the feet. Not many people do that.
No.
Not many people do that at all. Yeah.
And I was thinking about it too while I was watching it. Rosenstruik, that knockout that he took from Francis Ngannou, that is Francis Ngannou made everybody look so easy. Made everybody
Yeah.
look so easy, but none of them were easy. Being
Mm-hmm.
able to do that to Rosenstruik, excuse me, was super impressive. And we've seen what Rosenstruik has done since then. Like that wasn't, he didn't just become a chinny, a chinny heavyweight that goes out and just fights for the love of the game or anything too. He's still in the mix. He's still winning. He's still getting wins. He's still getting wins over top guys. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Jairzinho Rosenstruik is no slouch when it comes to the striking. And we got him at, he's got to be in the top 15 somewhere.
He's 10. I'm actually picking a rematch for him.
He jumped up 2. Okay.
Yeah, he jumped up 2. I have a rematch, and it's going to be Curtis Blades. That's at 5. He lost to Curtis Blades by decision, a 3-round decision. I think he's on a couple, I think 2 or 3 fight win streak here. I think he deserves a definitely a good push. He's a 2 fight win streak. He did lose by submission to Almeida in the first round, which Almeida will push the pace in the first round, try to get the takedown and submission. I would like to see him fight a grappler again instead of a striker. Like you could possibly do Sergey Spivak, but he just came off a win, so you want him normally to face someone above him. But I think Curtis Blades is not a bad one. But you can also do Marcin Tybura that came off the loss, and he's only 1 above him. You could do that matchup too. Just a couple ones toss out there for him. He has options. I don't think Rosenstruik is like done being in the top 10 for sure. He's a solid heavyweight fighter.
Right. I feel you on that. And bouncing around there, anybody in the 5 to 10 range, I could see an argument. Tai Tuivasa just dropped 3. He was a little bit closer, but or even Derek Lewis. I think I will, depending on how Derek Lewis is looking in the next, over the course of the next year or so. I think
it is.
I feel like it definitely should be. I feel like we've seen them at some point.
They've had to, right? No, I don't see them fighting.
I don't see
They've never fought? But that would be fighting below them. But at the same point, I haven't seen them ever fight. No, it's fight history. They've never fought.
That's nuts.
You could have him go up against another absolute brawler and let him show off, get another big win possibly, or get knocked out. And if he gets another big win, you get him, you put him up against a guy that's you elevated. You'd be like, all right, that's it with the round 15 area was fight number 5 or number 6. Let's give you a nice little push.
Would not be mad at that. Mad at that. I would not be mad at the Blades fight though either. Blades or Almeida, that's a solid jump. Those are solid. Spivak and Tybura just got done. Rosenstruik just got done within like 2 weeks, a week or so of each other. So they're on the same time frame. I wouldn't be mad at either of those. Gosh, I just noticed Stipe is at 7.
And he'll be fighting for the belt. Does he deserve it off of his history? Yes. But at the same point, you have an interim champion. I hated the whole thing with GSP and Michael Bisping while you had Robert Whittaker off to the side. It's like I hated all that. I don't want to see. I don't like that. It's stupid.
No.
Because watch John Jones retire after the Stipe fight, win or lose, and then all of a sudden, we could have said Tom Aspinall's a champion the whole time. It's like it looks like history is just repeating itself. Yeah. But we always go into this rant every time we mention the heavyweight belt. Every time.
I know, dude. I apologize It's a very sensitive subject for us guys. You got to understand how, and especially after John Jones' last fight. Okay, and I've been saying this since the jump, before it was common knowledge. When John Jones fought Ciryl Gane and beat him in what, like a minute 4, something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, impressive. Yes. But we waited all this time to see John Jones finally move up to heavyweight, and we got 1 minute of fighting. We got 1 minute of fighting where he grappled a kickboxer. To me, that doesn't really show John Jones at heavyweight. And I'm not trying to discredit Ciryl Gane. I'm not trying to discredit the work that John Jones put in or anything like that. I'm just saying we did not get a good gauge of what John Jones looks like at heavyweight. And calling him like the heavyweight GOAT, I think John Jones is the GOAT, but I don't think just because he's at heavyweight now that he's automatically the heavyweight GOAT. And so after that Ciryl Gane fight, I was like, very impressive, excellent win, very tough opponent to do that against, very impressive. But we did not see John Jones at heavyweight. We saw a heavyweight John Jones wrestle a kickboxer. And then when he was like, okay, I want to cement my legacy by beating Stipe Miocic, I was like, dude, Daniel Cormier already beat Stipe. Stipe doesn't have that, like you were saying, the resume, his history. He's 100% heavyweight GOAT criteria. But DC not only beat Stipe, he knocked him out. He beat him in the most dominant fashion that you could. Mm-hmm. Beating Stipe, just ever since he said it, I'm like, that doesn't do anything for your legacy. It doesn't do anything for it. You're not cementing your legacy would be fucking doing what you do to Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
I just don't see I understand the argument. I understand the case. If you put Stipe as the heavyweight GOAT, beating the heavyweight GOAT is something that goes on your resume forever and something that you can, hang your hat on. But I don't think it does anything for him at this point. No. I think if John Jones wants to cement his legacy as the greatest of all time, just bar none, you gotta face Tommy. You gotta face Tommy, bro.
Yep.
Okay. Enough of the sore spot rants. We got Mateus Gamrot and Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker, bro. Dan Hooker is that dude. You can't not like Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is just the only thing that worries me is he's got one of those vibes, and I don't mean this disrespectfully or anything, but he's got one of those vibes of like the dude you see that you run into at the bar who's trashed way before everybody else is, and he's like hanging on everybody, yeah, what up, and stuff. And the wars that he's been in, and like just when I see him like that and stuff, it's awesome how much of a savage he is, how much he loves this game. It's awesome what he's given to the sport. I'm worried about CTE. I'm worried about him. I do not want to see him slurring and drooling and fucking, falling asleep in interviews and stuff. I'm super worried about that. And I don't not want to see him fight, but just fights like that. I mean, again, and Mateus Gamrot, tough dude, very hard shots. Did cut him up, had him busted open, had him like leaking from the first round on. I love the dude so much. I really don't want to see anything bad happen to him like that. But yeah, that was a hell of a fight, man. Hell of a fight. Solid win. What's your take?
I want to give credit to Gamrot too. He brought it, but Dan Hooker just brought it more. Dan Hooker, I don't understand. He went on this crazy run. Then he went on like a 3 to 4 fight skid. And then usually when you go on a 3 to 4 fight skid, that's it. You're going to be out of the UFC soon. He jumped down a weight class, came back up, all of a sudden he's on this great upswing again. This, right. I mean, hell yeah, and I think he should be rewarded for it. They put him at number 5 overall. They moved him up 6 spots. Dan the Hitman Hooker, he legitimately has probably Hangman. Sorry about that.
I got you.
He probably has 4 of the top 10 best lightweight fights I've ever seen. And I want to see him get in one more. I understand the whole CTE thing, but there's a guy there called Justin Gaethje that has nothing to do. And I mean, they haven't fought. I understand. I hear people saying DP2 in Louisiana. I understand. Get the rematch with DP, which is my favorite lightweight fight of all time. That fight is unbelievable.
It's up there.
But it's like, I want to see him fight Justin Gaethje. I think he matches up kind of well with Gaethje, other than the leg kicks. The leg kicks are going to be a problem, but I think his hands are better than Gaethje's. With the damage Gaethje does is different, but I want to see that fight. I would love to see it. You know, that's a 3-round, or if you co-mained it and somehow made it a 5-round, like, oh my God, that fight would be unbelievable.
100%. I am on board. Like I was saying, I'm worried, but then again, Justin Gaethje is another dude I'm worried about too. So yeah. I mean, if it's gonna happen,
they'll have a drink at the hospital together. Yeah, they'll have a drink at the hospital. It's all good.
Yeah,
and if they aren't worried, we don't have to be worried.
Given that Justin Gaethje is one of those guys too, and those I talk about the violent weight guys. There's Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, Michael Chandler. Dan Hooker, I think, is up in there. Mm-hmm. Charles Oliveira is up in there. And that was going to be my pick for the fight. I think if it's not Gaethje, which I would put it ahead of Charles Oliveira. But if it's not Gaethje, I think it has to be Charles Oliveira. I think Dan Hooker and Charles Oliveira that's one of those fights that if we don't get it, we're going to be kicking ourselves. We're going to be like, dude, that would have been such a sweet fight. I can't remember what did Oliveira's last fight was Arman.
Yeah. And it was a very, very, very close fight.
Very close.
I did, at the end of the day, put Arman up, but at the same point, it's like, I don't know, too, because that looked like the last submission was really locked in. It looked like he even went out, and he woke up as soon as he released. So if that was the case, then I would have to give it to Charles. So that fight was as close as you can possibly get of a split decision. And
yeah.
100%.
The only qualm with that is that Justin Gaethje is 3. Charles Oliveira is 2. Dan Hooker is sitting at 5 now. He jumped up 6 spots?
Yeah.
What? Damn. That's incredible. I love it. And and everybody hates me for talking about this. I get it. I get why everybody hates on this guy. I fully understand. I just don't agree at all. He's been my dude since way before the UFC days. He's been my dude from decades ago. We got to get Michael Chandler a fight, dude. We got to get Michael Chandler a fucking fight. And if we're gonna lose out on the Chandler versus Conor money fight, if we're gonna lose out on all the hype behind it, the years of hype, all the multiple call outs, the full Ultimate Fighter season, if we're gonna lose out on all that, I am okay with losing out on that fight if it means we get Chandler versus Dan Hooker, because I think that is, and they're sitting, I had no idea he jumped up so much. They're sitting right next to each other in the rankings now.
The only reason I'm not as interested in that is because that was Michael Chandler's first fight in the UFC was against Dan Hooker, and he knocked him out viciously and quickly.
Right.
And that's also like why Dan Hooker versus Charles scares me too, is just because if it goes to the ground, this isn't, as no disrespect to Gamrot. Gamrot's an incredible grappler and more of a take you down, try to ground and pound you, point fight you. He will get a submission in there if you allow it, but Charles Oliveira is different. He's just different on the ground. Like, I feel like that would be like Arman, Charles Oliveira, Islam. Those guys, there's a reason Islam submitted Dan Hooker in like 2 minutes. There's a reason. Like, I think Charles would do the same thing. But at the same time, we didn't really, at least I didn't. I gave Gamrot 100%. Mine not. I was like, I chose him as my lock of the week. And Dan Hooker just did it again, man. He's that dog. He is a dog. Like, I know Dustin Poirier has the hat that says war on it. Get Dan Hooker one of those two. Get that man one of those hats.
The Tommy Hearns hat.
Oh, yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and I absolutely understand. They already fought each other. Michael Chandler put him out. Michael Chandler, though, that was his first fight in the UFC. He's been in some dog fights, some absolute wars since then. Yeah. And Dan Hooker at that time, that was part of that skid that you referred to earlier, where he like was doing well, got up to like Dustin Poirier, fight of the century, one of the best fights in lightweight history. That Michael Chandler era of Dan Hooker was kind of during that skid. And I feel like things with the layoff that Chandler has had, with the role that Dan Hooker is on now, I think it would be a much different fight. But I'm still with you. I think Justin Gaethje is the fight to make. Yeah. We gotta see those guys. We gotta see those guys. We're gonna be very upset with ourselves. And then, I mean, if Justin Gaethje gets a different fight, I'm cool with Charles Oliveira there, because I mean, they gotta be doing.
BMF. I'm not against BMF.
No.
Like Max Holloway and Dan Hooker throwing down for 5 rounds. BMF, like, that is unbelievable. That is fun.
I am not mad at that. Not mad at that. Yeah. No. Fuck it. Let's just throw shit at the wall. See what sticks. Have some fun with it.
I don't think anyone would be upset with it. They'd be like, oh, Dan Hooker's lost a lot. It's like, dude, he's on a good fight streak. He's beaten guys that he's the underdogs against twice in a row. Like, shut up. That's how you become a BMF. You take these things as dogs, you whoop some ass.
Exactly. And I'm sure Gaethje wants a redo. I'm sure Gaethje doesn't want his BMF reign to finish out with that.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad fight. Like, there's no shame at all in being Justin Gaethje at the end of the day in that Max Holloway fight. But I'm sure he would have no issues with trying to regain that title.
Yeah.
All right. Last two. Kai Kara France. Thank you so much, Kai. Thank you so much, Kai, for making me look like I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. Gosh, man. I was beyond happy. Of course, following that, I got humbled again with Izzy and Duplessis. But I'm taking it. I got the win on Kai. I'm taking it. I am taking it. Kai with the knockout. I gave him a split decision, but I felt like if somebody was going to get a knockout, I think Steve Erceg, his knockout odds were like right near Kai. I think knockout for both of them as far as method was like, there's like decision, knockout for Kai, knockout for Steve Erceg. I think the odds on Kai Kara France to get a knockout were a little more generous than they should be, because I felt like that was way more of a possibility than people expected. What do you think about that one?
I was amazed. I legitimately thought that, in my opinion, what I saw, and I'm a big fan, I'm a big person that says I go by your last fight with a lot of my research, because I could look at your whole history, but your whole history doesn't mean that's the fighter you are right this moment. And I think looking at your last fight or last 2 fights is the best bet. I've looked at Kai Kara France. He doesn't beat that number 1 contender fight. He just doesn't know how to get it done. And then Steve Erceg, legitimately the only reason he didn't win the fight and become champion is fight IQ in the 5th round. He would have won 3 rounds out of 5. No doubt about it, but he didn't because of just making a silly mistake. So I honestly thought Steve Erceg easy was going to have this. I thought he was going to piece him up. I was even saying possibly 30-27, maybe 29-28. That was my opinion on it. I was completely wrong. Like, man, Kai Kara-France, he looked faster. He looked more determined. Everything about it. Steve Erceg almost came in there like, but he always has that kind of look to him, and while that's always how he looks. But man, it just looked like he was not there that night. I haven't really listened to an interview of him if he says there's something up or he just didn't feel it. Like, that's a real thing. That's a real thing in fights too. Like, sometimes you just don't feel it that night. George St. Pierre even said it. So, and that could have been the case too, but Kai Kara-France brought it, and congrats to him. There's a good chance he might be fighting for the belt.
I was gonna say, do we give him a title fight? Do we give him a title fight off that? He just beat the last title contender by knockout.
And by knockout too. And Royval and Moreno have fought Pantoja. I think both of them twice, but I could be wrong. It could be only it could only be Moreno that's fought him multiple times, but Royval definitely has fought at least once but Pantoja. I know Amir Albazi's a possibility, but I know a lot of people they feel like that's not going to sell anything. But Kai Kara-France, people love watching him. Like, so you put him up in a title fight, I'm not against it. I understand his record isn't the best in the world, but it's still, he's exciting, and he has that speed that he could knock out Pantoja in the first round. It could be an exciting finish. And he's very quick, and he's good at getting off the ground too. So it's like Pantoja ain't going to ragdoll him for 5 rounds. I don't believe that at all. Yeah, he's not going to beat him in the feet either. So I think that's a very good matchup for Kai Kara-France. Is the champ.
I agree. And if to your credit, absolutely, giving him, where is he? He's at number 4 now. It doesn't look like he moved at all. It looks like he stayed at number 4.
They kept him there, which I understand why. Yeah.
And like I was saying, to your credit, I fully understand not giving him a title fight just because of, the way the rankings are going, how his record looks and everything. But on the same token, the last guy that got a title fight was number 10. Yeah. He's number 10. Like Steve Erceg, and he put up a hell of a fight. A hell of a fight, dude. Very impressive in that one, too. So anything could happen. If they're not going to give him a title fight, I would like to see the Brandon Moreno rematch. I'm totally cool with that. I think that might be a little bit of a different fight. Brandon Moreno he's on a little bit of a skid, is he not? Yeah, he just lost to Royval. Lost to Pantoja. The only two dudes.
He didn't look good in the Royval fight at all. Like, he didn't.
Did not look.
I think he lost 4 rounds to 1, if I'm correct, in that fight. Like,
if we're not doing a title fight, we're not doing Moreno. I'm cool with Kai Kara-France versus Tatsuro Taira, who just got the KO over Alex Perez. 4 and 5. I'm not mad at it. But give Kai some rub. Give Kai some love, man. Give him some love.
I'm not against him fighting Amir again. That was a split decision. It was a split decision. Decision. Obviously, is it going to be a fight night main event probably instead of being a pay-per-view? Yeah, probably. But that would be a clear number 1 contender fight unless Royval decides to fight Amir in the meantime, which that could happen too. None of these guys have scheduled fights. Like Royval, Moreno, Amir, it's crazy. None of them have scheduled fights. It's like, hey, one of you guys try to get after Kai Kara-France, because if he's not fighting for a title, it has to be a number 1 contender fight, in my opinion.
Yep, I'm with you. Like I said, Tyron Perez just went down like a month or 2 ago. Steve Erceg and Kai Kara-France 4 and 8 just went down. Manel Kopp, he just fought recently. I think the only person that I know of that is scheduled in the top 15 is Matt Schnell. if I'm not mistaken. I don't recall seeing an announcement for any of these guys except for Matt Schnell.
Yeah, Manel Cop just lost
So
against Mokaev, and now Mokaev's off this list already. They're like, screw this guy.
yeah.
Dude, they hated him. Wow. They did, but
Thank
he didn't
goodness.
help his own case either. So it's like, if you guys are
I don't
interested,
ever.
I could do a breakdown of the whole Mokaev situation. That one,
Yes.
he did
Yes.
shoot himself in the foot too. So it wasn't just, oh, screw him, he's a boring fighter. He did bite himself
Right.
in the foot. So
Right. And I still stand on my hill. Mokaev and Evloev. I don't wish ill will on anybody. I don't ever want to see anybody fail. I would never look at somebody and be like, I want you out of the UFC. That's not the kind of guy that I am. But if you're gonna cut somebody, Mokaev would have been my first vote. That's just, I didn't vibe with him, didn't mesh with him, wasn't, not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. So unfortunate for him, but Kai Car France, give him some love, baby. Give him some love. Give him
well
a good
deserved.
fight. Give him a good fight. Give him an interim fight. Give him a number one contender fight. Give him a title shot. Give him something. Give him something, man.
Yeah, even
He's put in
Pantoja
the
doesn't
work.
have anything coming. Pantoja doesn't have anything coming anytime soon. Like nothing.
No,
Like,
it's crazy. I mean, I haven't, as far as 11 through 15, no Tim Elliott fight, no Mateus Nicolau fight, no, I mean, Tyra and Alex Perez just fought, France just fought, Albazi doesn't have a fight, Moreno doesn't have a fight, Royval doesn't have a fight, Pantoja doesn't have a fight, Bruno Silva, I think he just fought recently. Ulanbekov, he might have just fought recently. I don't know of anybody other than Matt Schnell that's currently scheduled right now.
I mean, number 15.
Which is crazy.
That's it.
Which is
number 15. Oh, number 15 is he's okay. Bruno Silva is going to be going against Cody. Okay, so we have 13 and 15 going against each other, which that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
that's supposed to be happening. Like right now. So yeah, this is a weird situation. Flyweight always find themselves in this weird situation, which kind of sucks because I'm the biggest preacher of I will watch any flyweight fight over any heavyweight fight other than championships. Yeah. When it comes to the championship fight, sign me up for a heavyweight championship fight. No offense to the flyweight champs, but it's like an event. It's always been like that in the boxing days and in MMA days. You want to see the heavyweight champs go at it, but yeah,
100%. 100%, especially given this there's two heavyweight fights on the card. Kai Car France and Steve Erceg was the co-main event.
And it was way better. Yeah, way better.
Way more exciting, way more. I mean, if we told you, hey, there's two top-ranked heavyweight fights. So there's 4 top-ranked heavyweights on this card, and there's 2 flyweights. One of those fights is going to end in a knockout. Who's picking the flyweight fight?
Exactly. Jesus. Oh.
Insane.
Man.
Insane. Yeah. So yeah, guys, give Kai Car Francis love, man. He earned it. And then last one of the night, the final heartbreak for me. Sean was the only one of us out of the Fight Pit on that episode that picked DDP and absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I gotta say, I thought that Izzy was up on the cards before that finish. I feel like if it would have made it to a decision, I think Izzy would have got it. But credit to DDP, man. He toughed it out. We say it all the time. He's just chaotic. It's a crazy style. It looks ugly at times. It looks very uncoordinated at times. But that's fighting, baby. That's fighting. Yeah. Anything can happen. And if it works, it works. You know, that was something that you hear in gyms a lot from coaches and trainers and stuff is you always want to try to be as technically sound as possible. You want to make sure the way that you train is the way that you fight. So if you train chaotic, if you train with bad technique, if you train with bad habits, things like that, that's how you're going to end up fighting. But we see things all the time that should not be. Alex Pereira with his hands down here and his left hook coming from his hip. That's not technically sound. That's not something that they teach, but it works. And if it works, it works. If it works, stick with it. And DDP just has that chaotic style of, even if he's down on the cards, even if he's losing the exchange, even if he's, grasping for legs on a takedown and not able to get it, he makes it work. And Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, back to back to back. The last three, not counting Pereira, the last three middleweight champions, and DDP has taken them all out. That's nuts. That's nuts. What's your take, brother?
I really felt like after the third round, I was like, all right, DDP has to step up the pace here. And I had him down 2-1. I had him winning the second round. He lost round 1. He lost round 3. I had round 2, DDP winning. Round 4, it wasn't looking good for him until that push. And I'm just like, he's going to have to just push the damn pace. Like I said, like the blueprint's there. And as soon as he pushed the pace, the blueprint was there. He hit him once or twice. Adesanya seems like he just did not like it. Like those made him react pretty weird, and he got on him and immediately got the submission. Like we've seen a couple people try to put a submission attempt on him and nothing of it. Like how he locked that in so quick and it was done. Like there was no fighting, there was no getting two hands on the top and try to pull it down. Nothing. It was like, no, I got to tap right now. This is rough.
Mm-hmm.
So Du Plessis, get your flowers. You absolutely killed it. You were down on rounds. If that round ended without you having a takedown, you would have probably been down 3-1 where you would needed to finish. So it's like, damn, great job. I don't think there's really a question with Du Plessis who he fights next. I think it's Sean Strickland. Like it was a split decision, really close fight. Dana's already said it. I think that's the move. Do that fight. I do think Du Plessis should be favored and even a little more than last time, even though it was a split decision, because I think he's going to know how he has to get to Sean Strickland this time is just really push him back. And I think it's a way less dangerous fight for him than Adesanya was. Even though I think Sean Strickland beats Adesanya each time just because of just styles. It's weird.
Yeah.
I think the real question is what's next for Israel Adesanya. 35 years old, 12 straight title fights. Does he want to? He says he's not done. So does he want to keep fighting at 185?
I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah, I have a couple names, but none of them are at middleweight. That's my opinion on that.
Ooh, hit me with it.
One would be Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill has no opponent now. His former opponent just went up and is now fighting for the title after pissing hot.
Ganked the title fight from him.
Yeah, and Jamal Hill's sitting there. You beat him. You're probably fighting for a title, and it's against your boy Alex Pereira, the trilogy in UFC, in the 5th time ever fighting. Like, I mean, Jamal Hill's a name, and it's a good style. It's a good fight for Alex Pereira, not Alex Pereira, for Israel Adesanya. It's a good fight for him. His kickboxing is going to look good. Jamal Hill's not going to look to take you down. He for some reason he has this mindset that he's going to out kickbox kickboxers, and he has this unbelievable power, which he does have great power. But dude, these are professional kickboxers,
Yeah.
and you have good grappling. Take them down. But that's one. I'm not against Jan Blachowicz rematch. That's another one.
Okay.
And he could even call out the winner of Ankalaev versus Rakic. And he could call out the winner of that fight too. I think he could call out a top 5 light heavyweight. And Yuri Prochazka just lost, and he's talking about going to middleweight. And if he goes to middleweight, then that's the only one I can see. Israel Adesanya being like, all right, I'm going to welcome you to middleweight. Let's go. You're a former
Yeah.
205. And then you could be like, hey, I beat this guy who was 205 champ. I'm going to come on up there now.
Oh my gosh.
So I think his middleweight title run, unless something weird happens, his middleweight title time is done. And if he wants to look for titles instead of just looking for fights, light heavyweight. There's a lot of money, a lot of new names. You can put on even more size. Like, he looks massive in there. He looked way bigger than Du Plessis. I will give him that.
He's tall, he's long, he's lanky. He has the frame to put some more mass on too. If he does it the right way,
Yeah, and he stood right up the first couple takedowns. Like, he stood right up, and the takedown attempts, like, it was like nothing. But then eventually the takedown started happening. Du Plessis just has a very, very good gas tank. So
yeah,
those are my things. I want to see 205 Izzy full-fledged saying, I'm ending my career, no weight cuts. I'm eating some good food. I'm lifting some weights. I'm going to work on some more grappling, but stay at my unbelievable kickboxing. He'll be the best kickboxer other than Alex Pereira at 205. So it's like, just work on some grappling. And there's not many grapplers in the weight class. See what happens.
I like
what do you think?
I like it. I like all of those options. Interesting to me, Dracus Du Plessis is now number 6 pound for pound. Jumped up 5 spots after that win.
I'm not too against that. Not really against that.
Right. I see it. I'll give it to him.
Leon, I'm with you. I agree with these. I agree where he's at.
Yeah. And I'm with you on the Sean Strickland rematch. I think that we got to see that one. I think that is – I agree that he would be favored in that one too. I think that it's just tough for me. Like, Sean Strickland, after that Paulo Costa fight, like, that wasn't – it was a Sean Strickland fight. It was a Sean Strickland fight. It went exactly how Sean Strickland's style lines it up to go against anybody, against strikers, grapplers, whoever. It was a Sean Strickland fight. It didn't wow me. I wasn't like, there's no question. We absolutely need to give Sean Strickland the next title shot. Didn't wow me, didn't knock my socks off, but I could see it happening. I understand the argument. And I know that Sean Strickland only wants the title rematch. And I get that. But if the talks are true, if Alex Pereira comes down to middleweight to fight Dracus Du Plessis, I do want to see that fight. I would say if that happens, Pereira gets the title shot next. I say we do Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland, #1 contender match. Those two, I think it's long overdue. I think those guys over the last few years are right here. They're just battling for that #1 contender spot. And I think that the only argument against giving Sean Strickland the next title shot is Robert Whittaker. So I say we settle it, figure it out. If, like I said, Sean Strickland didn't wow me with Paulo Costa. If he can do that to Robert Whittaker, I'm wowed. I give it to you. Then there's no question at all. You are next in line for whoever has the belt. And man, how just throwing it out there, how ridiculous would it be if Alex Pereira comes down and beats Du Plessis, Robert Whittaker and Sean Strickland go, and Sean Strickland wins, and we see Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira for the middleweight belt? How fucking frustrating would that be for Sean Strickland?
Yeah, he would be done. He's doomed. He's totally doomed.
Poor guy.
I would like to see, even though I'm a huge Robert Whittaker fan, if Alex Pereira does come down and he does win the middleweight belt, which I do believe he would beat Du Plessis, I think his leg kicks will destroy him, and that chin will get cracked. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. But if that was the case, I would want Robert Whittaker to lose, because I would love to see Khamzat Chimaev versus Alex Pereira at 185.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Khamzat's still out there floating.
He's fighting Robert Whittaker at 308, if I'm correct. So
Yeah.
yeah, they think he's on Abu Dhabi. So
fingers crossed.
yeah.
Fingers crossed, man. Let's see. Where do we got him? Hamzat is currently ranked number 11 against Robert Whittaker, number 3. Yeah. I'm good with that. I could see, Hamzat's last one against Kamaru Usman, like I said, didn't wow me. It was the same thing. I was like, oh, wow, he's absolutely needs the next title shot or anything too.
Yeah.
But, yep, Hamzat's in there. And if we're talking light heavyweight, I like all the options you threw out there. I like Izzy versus Pereira light heavyweight if Pereira can get through Khalil Roundtree. I like Jan Blachowicz rematch. I think the Rakic fight, giving him the winner, I think is good, but I think Izzy's just so much of a name that they probably wouldn't give. I stylistically would love to watch it because we're fight enthusiasts, we're purists, we love shit like that. We know that it would be a great fight, but I don't think those guys have got their names up enough for them to give to give, and which is unfortunate, but that's just how the game works these days. But if we're staying with light heavyweight, I love that Khalil Roundtree got the title shot. I understand that it's frustrating giving it to him after he popped. For anyone who hasn't listened to the JRE episode, I know all about this stuff, but it's like new to a lot of other people and stuff. DHEA, it's a supplement. It's like a hormone supplement, and it helps to like regulate your hormones and stuff, regulate testosterone and estrogen and things like that. It's not something they say that it's not performance enhancing, but it is one of those ones that does have the potential to increase your testosterone. It's one of those ones that people take as they get older when their testosterone, estrogen stuff starts to get out of whack. It helps to balance it out and stuff like that. So it could be considered performance enhancing, but it's just one of those ones. Bobby Green's pop in the last couple years was also for DHEA. It's just one of those things. It's one of those things that shows up and people don't know enough about it. I've been studying stuff like this forever, so I know all about it, but it's a finicky area as far as that's concerned. So I'm not mad at it. And if anybody is going to beat Alex Pereira, I would love for it to be Khalil Roundtree because I absolutely love that dude. I love that dude. I was hoping that. Gosh, such a good fight! Oh my god, such a good fight! And you know, they are not shooting for takedowns. Nobody is shooting for takedowns. No. Somebody is getting their block knocked off in that fight, and I was kind of upset whenever it happened because right now is the time for Khalil Roundtree versus Alex Pereira. As much as any, right now is the time, and having it get pushed, having it get set on the back burner, and having him get benched would have been unfortunate. So I'm glad that he did end up getting this one. I understand the arguments that it doesn't make sense and all that, but I don't care. I want to see the fight.
Yeah.
I want to see the fight. But yeah, as far as Izzy is concerned, he's done enough to where he can call his shot. I think whoever... You just line him up, say, hey, you got this, and this. Which one you want? Let him do what he wants. If he wants to move up, if he wants to bulk up. We saw it with Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva jumped up the light heavyweight and was starching fools. And I think that Israel Adesanya could do the same thing. He's got the frame. He's got the skills. And with, we see it all the time with Pereira, Strickland, moved up, everybody, people, Dan Hooker moving back up, people, you change weight classes and it's a resurgence and shit goes crazy. Khalil Roundtree, even, I think that he was middleweight for a good stretch, and then he bumped up to light heavyweight and been killing dudes. Killing dudes, and he's fighting for a title now against another dude, Alex Pereira, who changed weight classes and is running the show now. So, but yeah, if we're going easy, Shama. Yep. Shama. Yep, I like it. I say we give Sean Strickland the next title shot. If it's not Pereira moving down, and as far as Izzy goes, let him call a shot. Let him call a shot. Let him do what he wants. Let him move up. Let him get the winner of a number one contender match between Strickland and Robert Whittaker. Let him do what he wants. He's earned it. He's earned it. Boom. And there you have it, folks. That is your UFC 305 recap. We have covered it top to bottom. Some good fights coming up on this next weekend, so make sure you tune in. Our episode for Cannonier and Barallo just went up, so right on this page, you guys can check it out. Get those picks in early. Get those good odds. We got you. Sean, thanks for doing this with me, brother.
Yep.
Always good to get in and get to shoot the shit with the boys after these awesome cards. So not the best as far as the methods, but we did do fairly well on the money lines, and we're just continuing to build those records back up. We had a few rough cards recently, but we're pulling back up the stretch. We're pulling back up the outside lane, baby, and we're about to cross that 70% line again here soon. So everybody, make sure you are subscribed to the Fight Pit. You can search up on YouTube the way I always do it. Type in the Fight Pit house call. The Fight Pit house call. And we are the one that comes up. That's the surefire way to get us to come up right off the bat. Subscribe, leave comments. Let us know who you guys think should be up for these matchups. If we get the fan buzz going enough, they'll make it. So let's do it, baby. Tune in every single week. We're here. We'll be back. It's Drew. It's Sean. Bada bing. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.